See, John Marty is our greatest threat to Minnesota right now. What can we unite around and solve, and what would be your strategy for doing that?
Well, the most important thing we have to do is bring our state together to solve our problems, period. All of them. It's not like we can't solve our problems. You know, if modern political movement, politicians of the modern era were running the abolition campaign 100 years ago, we'd still have slavery, but we'd be proud of the fact that they only had to work 40-hour work weeks. And you know, with healthcare, it's not rocket science to provide healthcare to everyone. 30 other countries in the world do it. And that's why we have to tackle the problems that we've been just ducking on. We can't keep deciding to provide insurance for more people. 40,000 last year, 70,000 a couple of years ago. We're not getting anywhere. We need to solve the problem. The Minnesota Health Plan, my legislation now has 70 co-authors in the legislature. It would take the issue and provide it as a right, something that people get. They don't have to qualify for, they don't have to fight for, they don't have to fight insurance companies because we don't have insurance companies under it. We have health care. And that's just one example. But I mean, I think what we have to do as a society is bring people together and tackle the problems.
That's a really interesting answer to me, because in a way you're not saying that there's a single problem, you're saying that the strategy is the problem.
The strategy, it's, again, progressives have gotten to the point where we don't believe in ourselves anymore. We think we're not going to be able to solve the problems. I say that's no good. I mean, for 30 years we've been letting Republicans kick at us and take apart our society and our common good. No, we don't have to do that. We can actually solve the problems.
How can we unite us, John Marty?
Yeah, how can we unite the society and so on? Well, I think it takes leadership. You know, just one quick example on healthcare again, with covering undocumented people. The president said we couldn't do that because it was politically indefensible. And he gets beat up on that, and then they say, okay, well then we won't even provide them the option to buy it privately. Well, that doesn't work. I mean, we're not going to let people just bleed to death on the streets. What we do now is we take them to the emergency room where
we'll
it's most
pay for
expensive.
It one way or the other.
That's exactly right. So what I'm saying is, let's start figuring out how we bring people together, how we solve the problem. What I think is politically indefensible is the knowledge that there are people, because they came from some other country, who might be serving us burgers at McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever. They may have infectious diseases, and we say we're not going to treat them? I mean, what kind of public health does that provide? That's the way you get diseases spreading around. With the flu, we want everybody to be covered. And it's cheaper that way. It's cheaper to cover them up front than it is to wait till they use the emergency room. And so that's the thing where if we as a society, if we as progressives start talking in the right way and start trying to figure out how we solve the problem instead of doing political calculations about everything. I mean, if you start with the political calculation and then try and figure out a public policy that'll work around that, you're not going to get anywhere. But any great social change movement in the past, civil rights, women's suffrage, people didn't figure out what was politically saleable and then decide what they were going to do. They decide what was the right thing, what was the thing that was important to do. And that's why healthcare is a perfect example. Living wage jobs. I mean, the fact that there are homeless people now who are working, full-time workers who are homeless. You know, we can tackle those problems. We just have to start with the idea, what's the goal? Affordable housing for everyone. Okay, living wage jobs for everyone. Then how do we structure that way? How do we structure a tax code to address that? So, in my mind, the simple answer to your question is, it's not just the issues, it's how we tackle them and how we're willing to fight on them.
I think that's great. Thank you very much.